Herb here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Overwatch Archives 2021, going for the Thunderstorm achievement. This one is going to be available to do whenever the challenge missions are going to be available in the arcade. This one is going to be a remix of Storm Rising, so make sure you start that up. For team, I'm going to recommend you run Bastion, Orisa, Wrecking Ball, and Mercy. Make sure you start up the mission. The gimmick with this one is it's going to be Storm Rising on expert difficulty. However, the enemies are going to damage you if you stay too close to them. So your goal for this one is to try to take things out from a distance. So make sure you leave the garage. Orisa's going to throw up her shield in the alley, and everyone's going to hunker down behind it and then shoot stuff from behind the shield. Thankfully, you have some pretty high DPS characters with the 3 main machine gun people. So the Mercy is going to primarily be the main healer, obviously. But of course, if everyone is at full health, the Mercy is also free to buff everyone as well. Once you get out onto the streets, make sure you move the Orisa shield up, and then everyone's just going to pick shots from behind the Orisa shield, and then just back up accordingly if the enemies do end up getting too close. The Bastion can set up in turret mode all the way back here by the gas pumps, and then just fire straight onto the street as the dropship comes in, and then Orisa's just going to constantly put up her shield whenever it gets refreshed, and then everyone's just going to spray machine gun fire down the street, and then you should be able to lock down this early area. Once the street is cleared, everyone is going to move up and then round the corner. Don't go too far, though. We're just moving up to get the next few enemies to spawn. So make sure everyone gets up right here, and then you're going to spawn in the next batch of enemies. You're going to have a special enemy drop in. It's either going to be a sniper or an assassin, so make sure you determine what you're up against. If it's going to be a sniper, you want to make sure you try to take her out from the safety of this corner. If it's an assassin, just try to pull her away back to the gas station. That way you can deal with her one-on-one. If you are dealing with an assassin, obviously try to keep everyone bunched up. That way someone is quick to melee her off whoever the assassin pins down, and that way you aren't going to end up with any deaths on your hands this early in onto the run. Once the special is taken care of, everyone's just going to back up to pull the enforcers around the corner, and we're just going to take them out as they get into a big cluster. And then once the street is completely cleared, we're going to move on to the distillery. So very easy opening segment as long as you make sure you keep your distance away from all of the enemies. Get those distillery doors open, and we're going to head on inside. Make sure you try to watch around the corridors for anyone who's giving you any danger. So once you pass here, take out the guys on the left, and then you're going to proceed to the right. Obviously have the machine gun people go first, and the Mercy is going to hang back and then buff or heal whenever appropriate. And then we're just going to slowly move our way up. This first part's going to be really easy since it's only a few enemies, so feel free to take your time. Once you round this corner, there's going to be a bunch of enemies right here. Orisa's going to throw up her shield right here in this corner. Everyone's going to keep their distance and then pick everyone off from very far away so we can avoid that damage. Once we finish up our initial sweep of the distillery, we're going to head up to our nice little sniper platform in the back of the distillery. So everyone is going to want to turn around and then hit up the staircase that takes you up to the little closet right here. So it's going to be all the way right here at the back of the distillery, and this is going to be the best place to try to take out all of the enemies. So Orisa is going to throw up her shield right here in this window. You're going to have 2 people on the staircase and 1 person in the window. Try to shoot people from behind Orisa's shield. And of course the Mercy is going to be super safe in this corner. Make sure you try to buff whoever's in the window, and then whoever's in the staircase, whenever they need health, they are going to back up and the Mercy can heal them really quickly. So just make sure you try to manage all of the players and all of their spots. Make sure you call out for the Orisa to reestablish her shield if that does go down, and you should be able to get through the Talon forces a-okay. Now, if the 2 people are having trouble holding the staircase, make sure you bring the 3rd person over, as you want as much firepower as you can get in case this thing does get overrun, as the staircase is going to be the one way in, one way out of this little sniper platform. So very useful to make sure you hold it. This platform is also going to be very useful when dealing with all of the special enemies. The reason for that is the window is going to give you a clear view of the entire distillery, so no snipers should get you. So as long as Orisa keeps her shield up, you can have the Bastion and the Wrecking Ball pick off any snipers from very far away. You might even get lucky and have a sniper spawn in here, and that way you can just take her out from behind without her one-shotting everyone. As for the Assassin, as long as the Mercy player does a pretty good job staying in this back corner, the Assassin is most likely going to go for someone else, and that way the Assassin isn't going to be able to kill someone instantaneously, as everyone else is going to have a pretty chunky health bar. So you should be able to have someone get to whoever is being assassinated really quickly and get the assassin off of them. Then just get back to the normal formation and make sure you just take out all of the enemies. The only real downside to this is if the enforcers start to overrun the staircase, things might get a little dicey, but you should have more than enough firepower combined with all 3 people to hold it. So just keep up at it, and then eventually the next special should appear, which is more likely than not going to be another assassin. So make sure you keep an eye out for her. Make sure everyone's calling out for her when she does jump in. Hopefully she goes for someone who isn't the Mercy, but whoever she jumps on is going to want to call it right away. That way everyone gets on her and melees her off, and then hopefully everyone can finish her off before she gets another pounce in. And then we're just going to try to recover and get back into our formation. An Orisa shield at the doorway is also going to be a great way to slow down anyone who is coming up because we are taking time off of our points to deal with the assassins, so make sure you also employ that strategy as well. But as long as you recover from whenever dealing with the specials, you should be able to get back into formation pretty quickly, and then we should be able to hold the platform. Alright, this sequence is going to end with the fight against the heavy, so make sure you have whoever is on the window or the staircase look for him and call out for him once he does spawn. The Wrecking Ball player is definitely going to need his ultimate right here, so make sure you have that ready. Once the heavy drops, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have the Orisa and the Bastion prop up at the top of the staircase. Mercy is going to buff the Bastion the whole time, and basically you're going to try to get as many shots as you can into the heavy. Once he gets to the top of the staircase, Orisa is going to move her shield to the door, and then Wrecking Ball is going to throw his ultimate down. That should sprinkle the sniper platform full of mines. Everyone's going to drop out of the window and then immediately head for this back hallway right here. Everyone is going to hunker down for a second as the Mercy is going to pick anyone up who took any crossfire on the way here. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you have 2 people on this door and then 1 person go over to the far door. Both groups are going to keep an eye out for what direction the heavy is going to come from, and whatever door he chooses is going to be the opposite one where you want to exit out of. So once you pull the heavy into the back hallway, you're going to want to take the opposite door and then make sure you hit up this staircase, which should lead you into the overlooking office right here. Once you get up here, there's only going to be one way up into the office, which is going to be up the staircase. Orisa's going to throw up her shield in the window, Bastion's going to enter turret mode, Mercy's going to buff the Bastion, and if the Orisa has her ultimate, she's going to throw up the amplification, which is going to supercharge the Bastion. Then everyone is going to unload on the heavy as he makes his way across the main floor and then to the staircase. And then as soon as he touches down on the staircase, everyone's going to back up right here into this hallway. Everyone can get a few more shots into him by shooting out the window and into the office. And of course, you can get more shots into him by backing up into the hallway. But obviously make sure the team doesn't get too greedy and you should be able to take him out. Because we're playing with some very high DPS characters, we should take him out before needing to recycle the loop, thankfully, so that should take care of the heavy. Once he's dealt with, we are going to move to the truck, and it's going to start the payload escort. Alright, so we're going to try to advance the truck slowly. Thankfully, it doesn't have a health bar that we need to worry about, so feel free to leave it alone under enemy fire if you must. But your goal is to basically have the Bastion take mount on the roof of the truck, and then what you want to do is want to make sure you have everyone else on its side. Mercy is going to be buffing the Bastion most of the time, but you're going to pull forward. You should have more than enough firepower to deal with the first few enforcers or so they shouldn't be too difficult, but you're going to stop pushing the payload once the dropship comes over. As soon as that does, make sure everyone just abandons the payload, and everyone's going to want to back up all the way to the distillery door. So just have everyone back up, and of course everyone's going to be shooting as they're backing up. The Orisa player can pop her shield up for a little bit of extra cover, but your goal is to obviously try to pull the enforcers back the best you can. Mercy is definitely going to want to stay in cover and then try to buff the Bastion, as he is going to be the highest DPS character right here. Once the road is clear, we're going to slowly move back up onto the truck and then push it forward again until it rounds the other corner. Once you do round the corner, you are going to want to keep an eye out for this building right here on the right, as enemies can burst out of that, which is going to cause another salvo of enemies. But once you finally round the corner, you're going to get a special to spawn in. We happen to get 2 snipers in our run. Now, whatever special you get, you're just going to want to pull back to the distillery door. If you're dealing with snipers, it's going to be way easier since they are never going to advance past this tower right here. So you should be able to pull them at a spot where you can pick them off from a distance. And since you are out on the streets, out in the open, you have a wide shooting lane right here, so you can shoot them from far away instead of dealing with them in the front of the castle or in the castle courtyard. Same thing with an assassin. Just make sure you pull the assassins back. Make sure you are clustered up together if you're dealing with an assassin, though, so you can have someone knock the assassin off if they do get the jump on someone. Once the front of the castle is clear, just make sure you inch the payload up a little more. As soon as the payload passes the castle gates, you're going to want to continue to back up as you're going to get more specials that spawn. If you get some snipers, you're going to be a little patient as it is a little tricky to try to pull them out of the castle courtyard. If you get assassins, make sure everyone stays up in a big cluster, and then make sure you're quick to knock the assassin off whoever she tries to pin down. And we're just going to keep backing up, which should also keep us safe from the enforcers that are coming. So make sure you just keep backing up, and then once we get all the way back to the distillery, we should have more than enough space to deal with the enforcers, who should be split up and in a pretty single file line. So we should have more than enough room to deal with them and from a safe distance to add. Then just make sure you slowly move up, making sure you pick off the regular enemies as we head back to the truck. Be very careful of any stragglers that may be still around, so watch out for any snipers or assassins depending on what you pulled. As soon as the truck is fully into the fort, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have everyone pull back to the far side of the bridge. So everyone's just going to back up to the end of this road, basically where the road turns, and then you're going to try to hold this spot as a bunch of enemies are going to drop into the castle courtyard. Arissa's going to throw up her shield, which should watch the street, and then everyone is going to take up a mounting position right here. So Bastion's going to enter turret mode. If the building behind you is open, Bastion can also head up to the second floor of that building to get a better high ground spot. But as long as everyone's staying behind the Orisa shield, everyone can just lay into all of the enemies who should be pulled back towards the bridge, and then we're just going to gun people down. You should get another special spawn right here, so make sure you keep an eye out for what it is, either a sniper or an assassin. Make sure you try to deal with whatever it is, and then as soon as you do, everyone's just going to book it back to the distillery because the heavy is going to drop in, and we're going to need to get ready to run our classic loop. So thankfully, this is going to be expert difficulty, so we only have to deal with one heavy opposed to the two that we'd have to do on legendary. So make sure you do keep that in mind. If you happen to draw assassins as your last few specials, you're going to have to try your best to deal with them as you are backing up to get away from the heavy. So make sure everyone's trying to stay together on the retreat, and then make sure you try to knock the assassin off if she does pin someone. Obviously, it's going to be way easier to try to kill her when she's by herself, so make sure you try to get her away from the group of normal enemies, and then everyone can just unload on her. You also may get additional assassin spawns, which is going to be a little rough. You definitely want to take care of any and all assassins before the heavy even gets close to the distillery. You definitely don't want to be in the middle of an assassin fight or trying to revive someone whenever the heavy does cross over into the distillery. So make sure you try to take care of those assassins as soon as possible before they give you a ton of trouble. Once everyone does finally manage to resecure the distillery, this is going to be the setup to prepare for the heavy. You want to make sure the Orisa takes point. She's going to pop her barrier up right here in front on the door. Then what you want to do is want to make sure you have the Wrecking Ball and the Bastion take up positions on the middle walkway right here. And then finally the Mercy is going to want to head all the way back to the back storage room where we had our little sniper platform earlier. The Mercy player should be able to reach the Bastion with her buffing all the way from the back room reaching to the middle catwalk, so that should cover that, thankfully. And the Orisa player is basically going to stay vigilant to when the heavy is going to appear. Once the heavy breaches the distillery door, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have the two players on the catwalk gun him down as he enters, and the Orisa is going to shoot him as she's backing up to the little sniper platform. So Orisa is going to be heading back to the staircase, and then the two catwalk players are going to stay here until the line gets breached, and then they are also going to back up to the storage room. So just make sure the Mercy player switches off of buffing and then to healing if everyone is taking damage in the crossfire. Hopefully everyone gets here safely, and then we can hold up our spot again by the staircase. Bastion and Orisa are going to be on the stairs trying to pull the heavy in this direction. Orisa's shield is going to be very helpful to mitigate against any crossfire. Watch out for the heavy's dash, obviously, and everyone's going to back up into the office. Wrecking Ball is going to be stationed at the window, and he's going to come over once he has his ultimate. He's going to pop his ultimate down. Orisa's also going to pop her shield down, at the top of the stairs, and everyone's going to dip out of the window into our hallway. Again, make sure you split the group. 2 people over by this door, 1 person over by the left door. Make sure you determine which direction the heavy is going to come from, and then make sure you leave out of the opposite door. Orisa can pop up her shield to get some cover, but everyone's going to head over to the overlooking office. Same strategy as before. Bastion's going to turret mode in the window. Orisa's going to throw her shield down. Mercy and Orisa are both going to amplify the Bastion, and then we're just going to unload on him from this window. Try to get as much damage as you can in on him. As soon as he touches the staircase, everyone's going to back up into the hallway. Be a little careful whenever using the loop for these end game heavies, as that door is going to open, and sometimes an enemy can sneak through there. So be a little careful of that, but everyone's just going to keep backing up. Again, you can have an Orisa shield thrown up right there to buy you some cover, but everyone's going to head up this staircase, and this is basically going to recycle the loop. So everyone's going to hunker down on here and determine where the heavy is going to be moving. You want to make sure you try to pull him up onto the catwalk right here, but everyone's goal is to basically make it back to that corner staircase and then head back into the storage room, and we're just going to recycle the loop. So just make sure everyone holds up here A-okay. Hopefully the factory floor is going to be pretty clear of enemies, but it's going to be back to our setup. Orisa and Bastion on the staircase, Wrecking Ball by the window. Wrecking Ball is going to use this time to build up his ultimate, and then everyone else is going to keep an eye out for the heavy and try to pull him towards the stairs. So try to land as much damage as you can in on him, and hopefully you can kill him before you need to loop him several times, but you can keep the loops going as long as you want, because again, it's only a single heavy that you have to deal with, so you can keep him looped forever if you want to. Once you finish dealing with the heavy, it's going to be one last push to the truck, so just make sure everyone books it there. Be a little careful of any stragglers, but we should be cleared of any tough enemies. Get to the truck, and then make sure you set off the explosives to blow open the front door, which should end the objective and the mission, and that should be another remix challenge out of the way. Once we get past the victory screen, mission complete, you should be good for our achievement. There it is. It's going to be for 15 gamer score. And that's all there is to it.